territory, there are many grants that do operate on a reimbursement basis, and there are a variety of special fund loans, special funds within departments that can facilitate loans for reimbursement purposes. So we just want the department to sort of explore those options a little bit more closely before defaulting to a recommendation of a reserve fund loan.
Okay, thank you. Members, any questions? Mr. Blumenfield, Mr. Marquis Dawson, this time? All right, well, seeing that, I'm going to recommend that we approve the CAO's recommendations. Mr. Lid, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Price?
Aye.
Councilmember Blumenfield?
Blumenfield, aye.
Councilmember Harris Dawson?
Yes.
Very good.
Okay, thank you. That recommendation will be made. Let's move on to item 4, Mr. Clerk.
Item 4, EWDD report relative to the Los Angeles Gap Financing Program.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, council members. Stacey Hernandez with the Economic Workforce Development Department. Always good to see you. Before you is a report providing an update on the launch of the Gap Financing Program. This is a pilot program that was funded with Community Development Block Grant Funds in CDBG Program Year 47 for a total amount of $2,750,000. The purpose of this pilot is to provide gap funding for economic development projects that align with the city's economic development strategy, involving acquisition, new construction, or substantial rehabilitation of commercial, industrial, and mixed-use properties. The goal of the program is to support the equitable economic recovery of the city by assisting real estate projects that provide economic development opportunities and job creation or retention in the city. The program will leverage committed investments from other local, state, and federal programs for projects led by either city departments or county departments, or in conjunction with projects led by mission-driven nonprofit organizations like the Los Angeles Development Fund, or our business or centers, our incubators, or even any community development financial institution. Now, the city implemented a gap financing program in the past known as the Block Grant Investment Fund, BIGIF. This former program was established in the 90s and most recently has been used as a framework to evaluate projects that require tax incentives. We've adopted some key components of the BIGIF policy for this new gap financing program, with the biggest difference that our new gap financing program will not offer any tax incentives. So the program will not require any tax revenue from the city. The program aims to develop an ongoing pipeline of potential eligible projects. With the initial program budget, we anticipate funding maybe 2 or 3 projects. The funding will be provided either in the form of a loan or grant, depending on the needs of the project to make it feasible for completion. And the loan or grant amounts could range between $500,000 or $1.5 million, again, depending on the needs of the project. Eligibility will be based on program criteria, such as, again, partnering with projects that are being led or by other city departments, EWDD, other city departments, or other government agencies that have the need to fill a gap in the capital stack. We are going to be considering only projects that are ready to get started. They have to start construction within 18 months of approval, and they also have to meet the CDBG underwriting requirements. And of course, the project has to be within the city. We are looking for projects that will provide the highest public benefit possible. So we will give priority to projects that will create and retain more jobs, that will assist most businesses. So as we're evaluating applications for this program, we'll make sure that we are, again, giving priority to those that will have the highest public benefit. We're also going to consider giving priority for projects that have other community benefits, like if there are below market rents for eligible businesses, or if it's a mixed-use development, if they have affordable housing units included in the project, or if they're going to have other wraparound services like workforce development programs and included in the project, then those will get priority. And of course, we're always targeting any project that is within our JEDI zones. We anticipate launching the program within the next 60 days, and we're hoping to have all the funding commitments by next year. Our department requires that you receive and file this report with no other action required at this time. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, the transmittal states that although nonprofits are eligible, the benefit of the dollars must be for for-profit. So what does that mean exactly?
So a nonprofit can apply to be the developer. So they can be the role of the developer, but at the end user or the end beneficiary of the program has to be a for-profit business. So the role would be for them to create or do the development and then bring in businesses that will occupy the space.
Now, will projects that are funded require council approval?
Well, normally there is no, you've already approved the program through the consolidated plan, so normally there is no additional approval needed.
Will you determine those projects then?
So we look at the eligibility, and that's why we wanted to come in front of council and provide details of the eligibility criteria.
Okay, we lost you.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Hello, everyone. This is Carolyn Hull, the General Manager of EWDD. I'm sorry, I don't have my camera on, but can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Carolyn.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to, I think it sounds like Daisy's having some technical issues. I just wanted to kind of bring together some thoughts on the on this grant program. We are envisioning that these funds will go toward projects that have already gone through some sort of public vetting process. So, for example, projects that are already received low-income housing tax credits and are in the pipeline, we're envisioning that we will support the commercial portion of those affordable housing projects, which often stay vacant. And by infusing capital into the commercial portion, we are thereby expediting the development of these affordable housing projects. Those are or projects, for example, that have already received new market tax credits funding through LADF, and thereby, again, closing on that final gap to move projects forward that have already retained and have received significant public support.
Okay, members, any comments, questions? I'm going to propose that we note and file and that we instruct EWDD to report to this committee on program parameters and funding commitments in the next 90 days. Mr. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Yes, Councilmember Price,
Aye.
Councilmember Blumenfield,
Blumenfield, aye.
Councilmember Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is item 5. Mr. Clerk, please call that roll.
Yes, item 5.
Please read the item.
Yes. Item 5, Municipal Facilities Committee Report relative to proposed Fifth Amendment to the Disposition and Development Agreement, contract number C-131475, authorizing the transfer to a new business entity from Reseda Theater Senior Housing LP to the Reseda Theater and Public Market.
Okay, thank you. This item had quite a bit of comment from individuals in CD5. I'm sorry, CD3. Mr. Blumenfield, you want to make any comments before we?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the folks who called in today to share their thoughts and concerns about the redevelopment of the iconic Reseda Theater. Like them, I understand that the revitalization of the Reseda Theater is paramount to the revitalization of Reseda. which is why I've made rehabilitating the theater one of my top priorities ever since I was elected, even before I was elected, when the CRA was being eliminated. I made sure at the state level that we were able to retain some of the money that was in the pipeline, specifically that would go to Reseda, so that we could do this exact thing. People wanted to make sure that we maintained this iconic marquee and created a theater as much as we could. So this has and continues to be a top priority for me. What's before us today are amendments to the Development and Disposition Agreement, or DDA, which is the contract between the city and Safran and Associates. It's to develop the theater. TSA is not a commercial developer, that's Safran Associates, and they've always intended to have a partner to develop the theater. This is not anything new. This is not something that was hidden. This has been known all along. Initially, Laemmle Theaters was going to be the theater with the partner with TSA. I worked really hard to try to get them on the hook, and we finally got them engaged. But as many people will recall, due to financial reasons, the Laemmle almost went under, and they were selling off properties, and the pandemic impact on the entire theater industry, Laemmle pulled out. They weren't able to participate in the construction of the project. That could have doomed this project. Fortunately, Safran Associates found a new partner called Azure Development. For decades, the community has wanted the Reseda Theater redeveloped and the marquee intact. It's been sitting derelict for almost 30 years. Clearly, redeveloping the theater is not an easy task. But I have been part of more than 30 meetings, including 5 major community charrettes, to develop the vision statement for Reseda, to make this possible and to figure out how to cobble together the funding that was needed. We have done this. This is an amazing project that is on its way. It obviously morphs over time, but now we have a real opportunity to try to make something happen. If the theater is not redeveloped within the various state funding deadlines, the city would likely have to return the site to the state, and the site would be sold at market rate. A developer could then do whatever they want, including demolishing the theater and building whatever is financially feasible. That's exactly what we in the community feared all along, that we will not allow to happen. We do not want to lose control of keeping the theater a theater, and therefore it's imperative that we move expeditiously. I understand that the Reseda Neighborhood Council submitted their CIS, and I appreciate the council sharing their concerns, which is why one of the things I've asked the developer and the Economic and Workforce Development Department to attend a neighborhood council meeting and address the concerns, that any questions that they have and any concerns that they have. We've made that arrangement. This has been known by the folks who called in, but there's a neighborhood council meeting on December 12th. I've also repeatedly stated that I will make sure that this item does not come before the full council until the neighborhood council has had this meeting. We were able to also extend the DDA to make this possible. So normally you'd think that the DDA would expire by the end of the year. We have the authority to extend that so that all of this can be possible. So we need to move this forward. We need to hear the input from the neighborhood council. This is going to be a great project. I look forward to working productively with the folks who've called in. While we're hearing the item today, again, I'm not going to schedule the item full council until the new year so they can have the input. And I ask for your aye vote today.
Thank you, Council. We appreciate your commitment to the community on this. I know it's something that, as you said, you've been working on for a long time, as others have as well. I'm going to move that we approve the Municipal Facilities Committee's recommendations. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Councilmember Price,
Aye.
Councilmember Blumenfield,
Blumenfield, aye.
Councilmember Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to our last item, item 6, Mr. Clerk.
Item 6, Bureau of Contract Administration report relative to amending the local business preference program to provide an additional bid preference for businesses located in the city of Los Angeles.
Okay, I think we've got BCA on the line for a report.
Yes, that's correct. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, council members. I'm Mark Gutierrez. I'm with the Bureau of Contract Administration. Before you is the BCA's Local Business Preference Program Implementation of Measure BB report. In September of this year, City Council adopted the EDJC report instructing BCA with the assistance of the CLA, City Attorney, and Office of Procurement to report with recommendations for amending the LBPP to provide an additional preference to qualified City of LA located businesses as allowed by the Measure BB Charter Amendment. Measure BB passed by a 2/3 vote in June of this year. LBPP was established back in October of 2011 and gave an 8% preference to local business enterprises on contracts over $150,000. Amended in June of last year, it gave an 8% preference to LBs on contracts over $150,000, plus up to 2% more if the prime is a local small business or a local transitional employer, up to 12%. As a result of Measure BB, BCA is proposing that the LBPP be amended to provide a bid preference range of 10 to 12% for city-located LBEs and a preference range of 6 to 10% for county-located LBEs. And those are LBEs located outside of the city. On contracts over $150,000, city-located LBEs will get a 10% preference, 2% more if they're also a local small business or local transitional employer, up to 12%. If not LSB or LTE, they can still get 2% more by selecting LSB or LTE subs. County-located LBEs will get a 6% preference and 2% more if LSB or LTE, up to a maximum of 10%. If not LSB or LTE, they can still get 2% more by selecting LSB or LTE subs. Should note that there's a preference cap of not to exceed a 12% preference and $1 million on any given project. This concludes my report. I'm able to answer any questions that you may have.
When does the DCA anticipate starting outreach for this updated program?
Yeah, so our plan is, if adopted, we plan to do outreach on various forums. We have externally accessing LA events in coordination with the Office of Procurement, blasting on our RAMP, Regional Alliance Marketplace for Procurement. We also have a department contract coordinator meetings, DCC meetings with the various departments on a quarterly basis, sometimes monthly, so we can share that then. And then on the ground level, project level, pre-bid, pre-proposal meetings where we'll bring this up to potential bidders and proposers.
It could be an important tool in our toolbox. Certainly we have neglected providing greater opportunities for our local businesses. And I think this seems to hit a happy medium. It certainly makes us competitive with other municipalities as well. Any other questions, members, on this item? Mr. Blumenfield.
Yeah, not so much a question. I mean, this is a good thing. I'm 100% for it, but I'm a little bit of a broken record too. I think, we have all these preference programs, which are great, but one of the best things we could do for our preference programs is to pay folks on time. That has been a consistent problem, and I mention it all the time, but that's why that's all the best preferences in the world don't help a small business float a city funding that they were supposed to get for 6 months, and it ends up undoing all of the great work that we're doing. So we need to keep doing this great work, 100% behind it, but we undo it by not paying people on time. So I just wanted to put that in there as my broken record that I will continue to state at every time and look for opportunities to change. And I know we are changing it, but not fast enough. Thanks.
I agree. I agree. Thank you for your broken record. Mr. Marquis Harris-Dawson, any comments or any song you want to sing on this?
Just the same old broken record. Same bowl of soup, just reheated.
Same old tune, huh? Okay, well, with that, I move that we approve the BCA's recommendations. Mr. Lidd, would you please call the roll, please?
Yes, Councilmember Price,
Aye.
Councilmember Blumenfield,
Blumenfield, aye.
and Councilmember Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Very good.
All right, that matter passes. Mr. Lidd, what else is on our agenda for today?
That clears the desk, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we'll see no other business. Members, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.